Chapter 2, The Fire Sale. Okay, you've waited long enough. Let me put you out of your misery right now. I will reveal the secret. A secret that people have sought for centuries, for millennia. Even on the very next page. Well, maybe the next page. The next? No, I can't. It's too much too soon. If I tell you the secret now, you won't want to read any further, will you? I'll do it before the end of this book, I promise. Maybe. It depends on a few things. For instance, how you look at it. Are you really sure you want to know the secret anyway? Revealing the secret is a bit like realizing air from a balloon. A secret spiral around that makes fun noise, and if you aim right, it might even hit somebody in the nose. But afterwards, it always falls to the ground and everyone is left with that sad, after the balloon feeling of loss and abandonment. That doesn't sound very satisfying, does it? Then again, when you have to know me for the satisfying anything but my own craving for chocolate, honestly, I don't know why you bother to read a word I write. If you want to give up on me now, I understand completely. Never mind all the time you've already put in. Sometimes it's better to cut and run. See chapter 1? Now's your chance to escape. Don't worry. I won't look. I'll just close my eyes and have a nibble at this delicious bar of dark. Well, maybe just one more. No, you're staying put. Stubborn, aren't you? Just morbidly curious. I know, this book is like a car accident. You don't want to stare, but you just can't help it. If it's any comfort, your old friend Cass is anything but satisfied at this time the story begins too. She's desperate to learn the secret. Recently, remember, she came tudorously close to learning the secret. Among the things she inherited from her ancestor, the Jester, was a fragment of papyrus with the secret written on it in hieroglyphics. Alas, the papyrus disintegrated in front of her eyes. Now Cass is headed for her grandfather's place. She has just heard that her grandfathers are selling their old firehouse, and she wants to make sure the Jester's trunk doesn't get lost in the move. She hopes another clue about the secret might lie inside the... Oh, there she is, walking down the road to the firehouse with Max Ernest. I didn't realize I'd been going on for so long. And if I'm not mistaken, they are discussing the assignment that they just turned in for class, Egypt unit. Make a list of 10 things you would take with you into the afterlife. I'm sure you know that ancient Egyptians were very keen on keeping as many of their possessions as possible for as long as possible. Here, let's listen. A giant bar of chocolate, of course, in case I get hungry in the afterlife. And a pair of underwear because, you know, Max Ernest was saying, oh, and a deck of cards, or do you think that's cheating? Since there are 52 cards in a deck and only supposed to take 10 things. No, I think you can count the deck as one thing, says Cass. Walking a few feet ahead, Max Ernest struggled to keep up. The view couldn't have been more familiar. The backpack, the braids, the big pointy ears, always away from behind, which is very unfair when you thought about it. Max Ernest, was shorter than Cass, rightfully. He should go first. He wouldn't block her line of vision. Did the Egyptian have cards? Cass asked casually. It seems like a hieroglyphs would make a cool deck of cards. Max Ernest lit up. That's a great idea. I don't think Egyptians had them, but we could make our own cards, and there are just 24 hieroglyphics in the Egyptian alphabet, right? Asked Cass, cutting him off. Or are there more? I feel like I heard both things. Cass stopped at the intersection. Cass pressed at the snail's pace, honking their horns impatiently. It was unexpectedly busy for a quiet neighborhood. Well, there are 24 main ones. They stand in for sounds, or like our letters do. Max and Ernest explained, happy to discuss a topic that was of such passionate interest to him. But there are thousands and thousands of others that are more like picture words. I don't think anybody knows how many. Cass's face fell. They don't? Yeah, think about it. Your deck of could be as big as you want it, said Max Ernest enthusiastically. Oh no, that's just what I was afraid of. Max Ernest looked at Cass, confused by her sudden change of mood. What do you mean? Why is that a bad thing? Cass bit her lip. She was the secret keeper, and the secret was supposed to be hers alone. Not to mention, it was a common knowledge that Max Ernest couldn't keep a secret. And yet, despite his faults, he was her best friend and unflagging investigation companion. She had been resisting for weeks, but she couldn't help waiting to confide in him. She looked at her friend and took the plunge. What if I told you that I got the Jester's trunk open? Max Ernest's eyes widened. You figured out the combination? Cass nodded. And what if I told you that the piece of papyrus inside was with writing on it? With hieroglyphs, you mean? That's why you're talking about them. Cass didn't say anything. Max Ernest stared at her. Wait, this doesn't have to do anything with the secret, does it? Shh. What are you thinking? They both looked around. Nobody was within earshot. You and me, they couldn't see, of course. Sorry, said Max Ernest, red-faced. Not mentioning the secret aloud was one of the most important rules, almost the only rule for the members of the secret organization, the Trace Society. Normally, even the compulsive talkative Max Ernest abided by it. Anyway, it doesn't matter what it was. It was so old that it turned to dust as soon as I saw it, said Cass glumly. So what are you saying is that you had the you-know-what in your hand, and then it just disappeared? A full weight of it was sinking into Max Ernest's head. That's horrible. Cass sighed and started to walk across the street. I promised myself I won't tell you. Don't worry. You didn't tell me. I guessed, said Max Ernest, following her. Anyway, how could you not tell me? I'm the one who knows hieroglyphs. Can you remember any? I could translate them. I know it's driving me crazy, but it's one time I need your help and I can't ask. The one time. You know what I mean. No, I don't. You need my help exactly 632 times. Cass shook her head in amazement. You've been counting? Max Ernest shrugged off the question. So what else was in the trunk the Jester sent you besides the papyrus? Nothing important, just treasure. You mean like treasure? Gold coins and stuff? Yeah, a lot actually, said Cass, as if there were no big deal. I want to look again in case there's any other clues in there about it. I can't believe you waited so long to tell me all this, said Max Ernest. No wonder you've been acting so weird lately. You're rich. But Cass wasn't listening. She was staring down at the street, where there were terrible traffic jam. Cars were stalled, people were shouting, babies were crying. What's going on? She asked, her pointy ears tingling in alarm. As they got closer to the old firehouse where Cass's grandfather lived, a man and woman, children walked by holding boxes and bags with odd old objects peeking out, a broken banjo, a hula hoop, a fireplace poker, fishing rod, several ancient computers, even a cash register. Maybe there's going to be a hurricane or a flood, suggested Max Ernest, or a big fire. Cass, who was normally the one to predict disasters of the sort, shook her head. I don't think so. Something worse. A nuclear war? No, a garage sale, said Cass grimly. She's right. Their progress showed to a near halt as they came within view of the firehouse. The entire street was crowded with cardboard boxes and people combing through them. Tables were piled high with dusty glassware and broken ceramics and hard-to-identify appliances. Mismatched shoes and neckties of all sizes and colors flew into the air as people discarded them. Old books and magazines covered the ground like fallen leaves. Are your grandfathers really selling their stuff? I can't believe it, said Max Ernest. I know it's weird, said Cass, slightly nauseated. She stopped in front of the firehouse where a new yellow sign had been planted. Instead of the sign for her grandfather's antique store and the fire sale, there was now one that said Glorious Fortune Realty. Cass stared at the sign as if it was an alien spacecraft that had landed on her grandfather's front step. My mom said they were moving, but I guess I didn't really think about what that meant. It was like they were selling my childhood. So where did you leave the trunk? asked Master Ernest, who understandably eager to get his view of the real treasure. He glanced around. A few trunks laid on the street, but none of them looked like the ancient trunk that Cass's ancestors had sent her so many centuries ago, and that had circled the globe so many times before reaching her. Huh? Oh, I hid it in the way back, said Cass, staring up at the front step of the firehouse. Come on, let's go inside before my grandfather sees us. But when they looked inside, the firehouse was completely empty, that is, aside from the cobwebs and dust that had accumulated behind all the boxes, the shelves and tables that had, until very recently, cluttered the space. One familiar thing remained, a brass fire pole as shiny as ever. Cass swallowed, remembering all the time she had slid down it. Cass, shouldn't we look outside before somebody... Don't even think it, said Cass, running out the door. They didn't find the trunk before some lucky garage sale customer snatched it all away. Cass's glittering inheritance, not to mention the clue it might contain about the secret, would be lost forever.